Another dominant ride, 4 in a row for Haiden Deegan. Tomac is down and looks banged up. And Roczen wins round 5.
Yeah, Kenny got it done at Glendale. No surprise. Welcome to Title 24, presented by NBC Sports. Ryan Villopoto, myself, RC, coming at you every week. Before we get going, got something special we'd like to tell you guys. We got a new sponsor on board for Title 24, someone that I've known for a long time. Ryan, you as well. United Motorsports has gone a different direction. We'd like to thank them first and foremost. They've been a huge supporter of Title 24, but you know what? Businesses sometimes take a different direction, but nevertheless, we're happy for everything that they have done and standing behind us from the inception of Title 24. So thanks to everyone at United Motorsports. It's been a hell of a ride. Ray Butts, you as well. You're an absolute legend. We appreciate you. But taking their place, again, that someone I've known for a long time in the amateur side of things when I was racing many moons ago in RV. Now you've known Andy for a long time. But Guts Racing, filling in that spot. Super pumped about that. Just a quick little overview of Guts Racing. They started in 1990. Northern California's Hangtown gave birth to Guts Racing. In a place regarded as a birthplace of motocross in NorCal, they provide at Guts Racing as innovators. They're referred to as innovators, sorry about that, in the seat technology. Whatever improvements your seat might need, we are up to the task to provide all of these improvements. Listen, man, this guy and Andy, and I remember seeing him and his father go to all these races. Now, growing up on the East Coast, I rarely saw them except RV at the big races, but we used them at RCH. I mean, what they're able to do from a seat side is incredible. For the covers themselves, design, texture, and also for like seat height. For me, I was super sensitive to seat height. And when they were able to come into the game and the technology that they had to make the molding of the seat, the height, the roundness, and also firmness, I believe at times, dude, it was an absolute game changer. And again, a homegrown company that I think has a ton of passion and is the best in the business for sure. You have a quick story you want to share about Guts Racing and Andy?
Yeah. No, I met Andy Gregg. Well, I've known him for a while, but never actually ran Guts seats when I was professional. But obviously, as this amateur world that I'm in now is taken off for us, we run the Guts seats on the kids' bikes. I run them currently now on my bikes. Me and Andy did Day in the Dirt last year for the team race. So he was my partner. Dude's fast on a motocross track also, but just a great dude. Always there for a good time. And like you said, RC, he'll do anything and everything in his power to produce something that the rider's looking for. I went to the motorcycle show there in Anaheim a few weeks ago. And he had all of his technology, all of the seats there, wider seats, taller seats, lower seats, whatever you need, he can customize. Yeah. Anything that you're kind of looking for or after or want to try. So thanks, Andy, for coming on and sponsoring the show, and glad to have you on. Get you in this side of it too. We have you on the amateur side, but now we got you on the show side. So that's awesome. I'm stoked.
That's right. Hey, you talked about that. I mean, the options are unlimited. So real quick, if you don't know, long-lasting seat covers for off-highway motorcycles, including dual sport. So it's not just moto and supercross and amateur racing dirt bikes. They got dual sport as well. Competition ready seat foam. I told you guys about that, whether when talking about firmness, if you like a firm seat or soft seat, to each his own there. They had add-on features as well. So some of you guys that might like the little seat bumps and steps, they got that. They can make a foam for you for that, and just ready to go. So they can basically, you design your seat, they construct it, put it together, and it's ready just to bolt on. So yeah, we're stoked about Guts coming on. Also, we can't forget about our other partners, Quad Lock, Boxo, Dunlop, and Cardo. So yeah, looking forward to having some fun times there. RV was before we get too much into the guts moment of the week, it was an exciting race. Some surprises, not surprises. Overall, before we talk about any riders, did you like the track? Did you not like the track? What did you take away from the track itself?
Oh man, Phoenix Supercross, Glendale has like we've talked about, has the biggest floor that these racers can race on, and that also adds, I think it brings an added feature to Supercross racing because of what the SMX track crew can build inside of that stadium. So super long straightaway, which was really cool, coming out down the middle of the stadium. The rhythm sections, we were talking about, I was rewatching it last night, and my wife was asking me, well, what makes a difference in the floor size? And the regulation for width of the track stays the same, but just, you could see the rhythm sections. They were big poppy floaters. The track raced well. I thought the dirt looked really well too. They got enough moisture in it. It wasn't like just blue groove, dusty material. It actually had some lines in the turns, which was nice to see. But overall, I thought the track was a great racetrack. I'd love to see more floors that size, in the future. But overall, I thought the night we had a good night of racing, and Kenny rode phenomenal.
Yeah, he did. Real quick on the track, I don't know. Like I thought that I liked the longer lanes. It was twofold for me, and I talked about this on the broadcast. Like, when it's long lanes like that, I feel like as a racer, it can kind of give you an opportunity to make a pass, because you can get some momentum going. Like you talked about, those long lanes, momentum is huge, and it gives you time to pull up alongside people and probably make a race out of it, or make a pass out of it. But at the same time, RV, I don't know. I didn't feel like that track raced well. Maybe it didn't battle well, especially with the the little 45-degree angle dog legs. I'm not a fan of that. I just think it's too one line. And listen, the SMX track crew, they do a great job, but the 45 degree kinks suck. And then the 90s, like, they all just funnel down into one line. And I don't know. So I felt like, because these guys are so good, like the long lanes, they just didn't benefit the opportunity of potential passes being made like I thought would happen. Again, I thought by yourself, I think it raced good, but as far as battles go, I don't know. It definitely wasn't as good as Houston. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with like you said, the longer lanes. And once the bikes are so good, the riders are so
get going, right? You just get going, and it's just like,
the riders are so, they're so good at pushing through all the rhythm sections. And once you get up to speed, halfway down the straightaway, let's call it, or halfway down through the rhythm section, and then you really start pushing through, you kind of equal yourself out, and then you can't really bridge that gap. Where if they are a shorter lane, you can really get through and push through those, and you might only have 2 or 3 jumps in that lane versus like 5. Like there was that one rhythm section that before cutting across that 45 before the start, or across the start where mechanics area was, that was a long rhythm lane, and you started generating a bunch of speed, and then it makes it tough to get up next to somebody. And then it also pinched off because of that 45 dog leg, like you said.
Yeah, just kind of.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. I can tell you this much, and you know better than anybody, it ain't going to be like that at Seattle. That's for sure.
It's not. No, it's not. Let me, I'm going to actually pull my weather up while you're going to keep going here. I'm going to see what old Seattle's showing for this weekend. I'm sure we kind of know.
Check it out. See what it's like. It's enough about the track. So we talked about Guts coming on as our new partner. The Guts Racing moment of the week for sure has to be Kenny Roczen. I talked about it a little on the RDL show before the broadcast. I mean, he was due. He's been riding well all season long. His stats compared to Eli at Glendale are one of the best in the field, and you just knew at some stage this was going to happen, and Kenny was going to get the dub for sure. A lot riding on it. We mentioned the news about Larry Brooks. Larry, we're thinking about you, dealing with stage 2 colon cancer. He's got a ton of support. Not that Kenny needed any extra motivation, but a little more incentive there to go out and perform at the highest level and get a win for Larry Brooks and everything that he's fighting for and against. Yeah, incredible win. Again, no surprise. He's 24th on the career class victory in the 450 class, 3 behind Bob Hanna for a spot in the top 10 all time. So that's cool. Thoughts and impressions on Kenny this week, RV?
Yeah, he rode solid. Like you said, it was a matter of time. And I think Kenny, I watched, might have been on Instagram, maybe it was after pre-race or after the race or whatever. But he mentioned growing up in Germany and hard pack and riding on that, and we all know that throttle control is key there at Glendale, right? It gets hard. But like I said, matter of time before Kenny was going to, win one this season. Technically so sound. The fitness is there, just putting himself in the right position. And, it's not like he pulled the whole shot and just ran away with the thing. He had to come through Hunter, and Hunter's been riding, as we have all seen, been riding super well. And he was able to capitalize on that, move into the lead fairly early and just knock down his laps consistent and fast and 0 mistakes. So, I think Kenny's sitting in a great position right now. Love what I see. We go to Seattle, it's showing 50% rain on Saturday.
50%. Wow.
50% currently it shows today through Saturday. It's going to be clear up until Saturday. So, and as we all know, the mud races, if it ends up being a mudder, that just throws a wrench in everybody's program. But maybe that works into Kenny's favor also, from Europe, from Germany.
And the experience.
Good mud rider. But so I'm pleasantly surprised. Or not surprised isn't the word, but happy to see where Kenny's sitting currently.
Straight up. I think too, like, again, I echo what RV says there. And it's no surprise for a guy like Kenny to go out and win. He's looked great all season long. I think the biggest thing for me, I think he's going to get some more wins throughout the season for sure. Now that he's gotten this first one this season under his belt, maybe that'll give him a little bit extra confidence that he needed, some reassurance there. And again, going to this weekend in Seattle, like you said, RV, with it being a little bit muddy and sloppy, and that'll make the track a bit more technical, not as fast. I think Kenny will do really well in that condition. He gets great starts on an average. He's got incredible technique. His timing is impeccable on starts. I go back to like when we had RCH RV, and we were trying to just get the bike dialed as good as possible, and like his shifting points, and where should you shift and when should you shift, and dude, like automatically, and like timing, he would shift to the next gear basically right on cue every single time. It was really really impressive, dude. Like his timing and shifting is just spot on. I just think, like, I look long term for Kenny, that I want him to be in this position when we get to Salt Lake. I think if he can, I think the focus point for him, if I was helping him, and I'm not, I would just say, what do we got to do to get you in this position to be in contention at Salt Lake City? So, whether it's, I think it's more on the mental side of things, and his approach this year, RV, has been, just to take it one race at a time, not look too far ahead, and not get basically caught up in the hype. He told me he's in a great spot, and just basically having fun and again, taking it race one race.
Yeah, and I think something that helps with that too is that Hep Suzuki, and also the Twisted Tea side. We've all talked about it, and everybody knows that bike is an older, let's call it older generation. It hasn't been developed a ton, which, can we notice it? Not really. I mean, that motorcycle is a solid platform. Mm-hmm. And Kenny has talked about, like, being able to ride, this is a third year, I think, ish on that Suzuki, at least with Hep Suzuki. Around those, 3 or so odd years where, they've made the bike better, but they also haven't strayed very far. They haven't had to make big changes. I think I watched Hunter or somebody else talk about, and it might have been Kenny, like, every 3 to 4 years, the manufacturers may change something, and is it for the benefit, and does it help, and is it better? And then you have to redevelop a new motorcycle, where that thing has just been solid. Obviously it's a good platform to start with, because it hasn't been developed. If it was a bad platform, it would need to be developed, right? And it's a solid platform, and with Larry Brooks, been around forever. I think that's working into both Jason and Kenny's benefit too, just because they have, they know that motorcycle chassis and everything like the back of their hand.
Yeah. Hey, RV, do you think that, you kind of touched on it there, do you think that there is an advantage for a guy like Kenny to just, even though that Suzuki hasn't changed much, do you think that there's an advantage for Kenny riding that bike 3 years in a row, and knowing, say, what it does good, what it doesn't do well? Do you think that's helping him in a way?
I do. Like, we'll use any one of these other riders as an example, Kawasaki or Honda or any one of those teams. Like I said, every 4 years they have something change, or, could be fairly drastic, could be a little bit here or there. But then they got to kind of revisit everything and go through all those testing protocols. So I do believe that because that chassis and motorcycle is so sound already, like I said, if it was a hunk of junk, they would have to work on it and improve it and develop it and get it better. But it seems like that thing is a solid platform, and being it, he's able to been riding it for 3 years. Yes, I think you every year you spin those laps and you come back to Supercross or you go back to outdoors. You know that feeling, and you know where it's good and where it's not. And I think where it's not good, you can actually work around those things. And then even if they find something better to make things work better, I think it's a win-win, but eventually it will catch up to them, right? They will, if Suzuki doesn't develop that motorcycle, eventually they will be left in the dust, and they'll be out with that. They'll need to do something to it. But currently, I think it's helping those two particular riders, Kenny and Jason, just being on a solid platform and knowing what moves and what things to change when the track develops the way it does, if it's dry or slippery or hard or ruddy.
Yeah, that was his 80th 450 SX podium. Very impressive, and his 167th SMX League 450 podium. So climbing up the ladder there. Great job, Kenny. That's it for the guts racing moment of the week. Well deserved. Again, no surprise. I'm stoked to see just if he's going to be able to keep that momentum going. Is it going to go into several more wins in a row? I love his chances going into this weekend because, like you said, 50% chance of rain. The track's going to be super techy. If it's muddy, I think Kenny is a great mud rider. He has that experience, RV, like you alluded to, and in a situation like that. And I think he's a very calm rider at times as well, and that helps too. He doesn't hit the ground very often, and that's half the battle in the mud. Moving along, let's get into the nuts and bolts of some of these riders. Some guys that maybe you thought did well or have underperformed for the Boxo breakdown. Straight off, let's go into Hunter. His 4th straight second place. He has a red plate now.
Yes, he does.
He doesn't have a win. What did you like about Hunter? Like, tell us.
Number one, the consistency, right? Like, he's been solid this year, and as we know, that's what it takes to win championships in the 250, but also the 450 class, is being consistent. And we're watching the replays right now. Kenny's behind him. Hunter's leading. I think Hunter's going to get a win or get a couple this year. But who's to say that, if he doesn't get a win, but he keeps riding as well as he is, and consistency, as we know, wins most championships. I think he's in it. Like I say, he's in a great position. Other than the win eluding him, so far this season, you probably couldn't ask for, if you sat down with Hunter and Johnny O and Dazzy and be like, okay, how's things going? I mean, they're red plate holder. Most, 4 podiums, 4 seconds in a row, I believe.
Yeah, throw the points up, Hector.
Yep.
Please.
It's a great position to be in. Yes, 100% Team Honda. Hunter wants to get those wins. He's 106 for Hunter. Kenny's 5 down. Eli is 8 down. Cooper Webb 15 down. Chase Sexton down 17. And then Justin Cooper drops down to the 31. And then everything else is pretty 31, 33, 33, 40, and 44. So, those are big points gaps. But as we're looking right here, Chase Sexton.
Top 5, well within the leather, dude.
Yep. Yeah, well within it. Yeah, within 17, top 5. Chase being 17 down. So yes, the win has eluded Hunter so far this season, but as we all know, Hunter gets better as the season gets on. He gets more comfortable. So I think the win is going to be there soon for him. Can't tell you when, can't predict it, but I say he gets a few this year.
I think he's, dude. I think I've said it before. I think he's riding well. I go back and I look at the 4 seconds in a row. And if you just take the fact that, we talked about it last week, where does he need to improve? It needs to be the early race intensity and that sprint speed early on to be able to withstand that so he doesn't lose too much time. I think he's gotten better just in the 5 races so far. But look at the first race that he got second. Okay. Like, he's been in tough situations, and I think you're going to always be in tough situations, RV, in the 450 class because it's just so stacked. But dude, Eli was riding phenomenally the first 2. He's been riding great the last 2 races also. Kenny was right there, but he was right in the mix. It's not like Hunter got the whole shot and those guys were buried and he was able to get a little gap. So he's in a very tough situation. Then you go to Anaheim 2, where he got a great start, but then, Sexton was on frickin' rails there. We're going to get into him a little bit later in the show here in a few more minutes. And then, so that, it was going to be tough for him to straight up beat Sexton. And then let's see here, you go to Houston, Triple Crown. You would think automatically, okay, with that high intensity race pace like that, that's going to be hard, but he still does all right. That was an ideal situation. And then you go to this past weekend in Glendale, and this is just me talking. I want to get your explanation on what you think. Then you get behind Kenny. Kenny's super explosive early, and he was trying. I mean, you could tell the way that he was riding the bike, pushing through the rhythm lanes, trying, just scrubbing. You can see when a dude's given a little extra effort, and it's just he hasn't got that perfect opportunity to get that elusive win. Not necessarily in an easy way, but in a better situational way. And that, I don't know, that's what I think of it. I think,
yeah, and I think you're spot on the opening laps part of it, right? That's where I think Hunter is. The ending part of his races have been really good. It's the opening parts where he might just lose touch a little bit with those guys. Chase or Eli, or in the last few rounds, just losing touch on those opening laps, but then he's able to then either maintain the gap or even close up that gap a little bit, so I agree with you. The opening laps is where I think that Hunter needs to improve, just not to lose that just initial touch with those guys within the first 3 to 5 laps. So that's kind of what I see. RC, we have a fan question. Clayton.Neelms, where do you think Hunter could improve to get his wins? Obviously, we just talked about that. We got another one here. Let's see. Eli Tomac was looking great all day, but crashed at the start of the main event. We have a short interview with Eli. So actually I read the wrong one. That was for us. That was for Hector. Yeah. C Perk 54. What did Eli do different in the main versus the massive heat race start?
Well, I think that the ruts behind the gate were substantially different from the heat towards the main event. Therefore, if you don't execute a great jump out of the gate, or you're not in the perfect spot, and you just mess up just a little bit by inches, Jason Thomas had a really good post-race track analysis, in the post race show about it. Like, dude, if you get a little sideways or something happens just by an inch, because you're fighting for inches, and he was alongside one really good guy, Cooper Webb, who's a great starter, and then right next to Chase. And yeah, he just won. Yeah, he just wasn't as good as he needed to be. I don't even know necessarily that he made a mistake. Maybe he just missed it by a skosh. And then, you know, like you're going to hear in his soundbite here, he'll explain exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll see. I mean, that's what we're dealing with. C Perk 54 is these guys are so close, and especially on the start. And if you don't even really have to mess up. You just don't have to do it. If you just don't do it perfect, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done, dude. And that's what I think happened. Hector, roll that soundbite of.
Yeah, just put myself in a position where bad things can happen, of course. So, start got a little bit pinched, and then I got taken out by Craig. And so I don't know what happened before that, or why he crashed, or if he caused it. All I know is Craig hit me, and I was done. So it took me a little while to get warmed up again, kind of get my body loosened up and going, and yeah, that's what I had. Get back to 12th, and good thing is we're not too far down. We're fine, so just have to do some digging now.
What do you think happened there, RV? Like, when you watched that start, like it looks perfect to me. Doesn't go sideways.
And to what you were just talking about, like, we're literally splitting milliseconds on your obviously gate reaction, your reaction of the gate, and then the clutch releasing that clutch as fast as possible without getting the bike to wheelie, which, these bikes have so much power. They're leaving off of a grate. So it's full 100% traction. So, it is so tough. And that to me looked like a pretty damn or perfect good start, right? It looked really good, but he wasn't as good as Kenny. Also, Kenny had the preferred line right there. He was coming in and had the wheel by far once they got, say, 10 feet out of the gate on Eli. But then Coop also gets a grip in front of Eli, 8 feet out in front. So then your window of opportunity is closed, right? It's shut. So now it's salvaging, and Craig goes down in front of him. Nothing Eli could do in that regard, but that's it. We're talking milliseconds of reaction time, release of the clutch, getting those shifts like you talked about just perfectly, about Kenny being so perfect about his shifts. And every rider on that gate is a damn good starter. So, it's not like you're just, you're splitting hairs, man. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm sure they went back and looked at data to see how that release was.
Looked like he held on to second a little bit longer, especially to Coop, I think. Like, watch Coop. He'll get to third real quick. Boom. And then it was too late. Like that's what it looks like from here. Again, you could beat
exactly.
It
and did he hang on to second a little long because he was a little off balance and he couldn't grab third as quick as he wanted to? Looks like Kenny grabbed third right, is just perfectly, and was able to come into that first turn, but yeah, we're splitting hairs when it comes to that with all of those riders on the gate. They're so good at starting, and we've talked about it. The grate does level the playing field to a certain extent, right? Lap times of practice, getting your 1 through 5 gate pick on a dirt start. We've had that debate on this show.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. They're equal starters at that point. Kind of doesn't matter, especially with the way that first turn was, and meaning how long the straightaway was. Hole shots could have really come from anywhere.
Yeah. Hey, quick question from Talon Fontaine. You know who Talon is.
I do know. Yeah, Talon LaFontaine. Yeah, good buddy. Thanks for sending in that question. Hit it, RC.
Yeah, dude. So I love this question, Talon. Good stuff right here. He asked, would you rather try and carry the red plate from round 1 or be 8 points down at the halfway point? I know what I'm doing. Where are you at with this, dude?
Yeah, I think I think every stage of holding the red plate's a little bit different, right? Leaving Anaheim 1 with the red plate, knowing that it's the beginning of the season and there's so much more on the tail end. But it's nice to have it, but it also brings a little added pressure, holding that red plate. So if I had to just, in a perfect scenario, write it on a whiteboard and boom, it goes play by play perfectly. I would say from about 5, 6, 8 races in, that's kind of where I'd like to have that red plate and run to the finish line with it. Everybody takes a set once Anaheim 1's over, the West Coast swing. It's a lot of hype, a lot of pressure, a lot of noise out here on the West Coast when it comes to the Supercross side. This is kind of the hub of it, where all the manufacturers are. Everybody's brothers, mothers, and cousins come out to Anaheim 1 and San Diego and all of those rounds, right? So there's just a lot of noise compared to once you get on the East Coast. So yeah, round 5 to 8 is in a perfect world, I think is when you'd like to have that red plate and then run it to the finish line.
Hell, I'd love to have it the whole time, but definitely, yeah. I definitely think Talon for sure. I don't want to be 8 points down at halfway. Like you get to Daytona time. Hell no, dude. I would love in a perfect world. I mean, the field is so much deeper now. I mean that respectfully, but with you 5 guys underneath 20 points for that lead right now, I think if you could get to halfway point with, let's just say, an 8-point or better lead on the group, that's preferably where I'd want to be.
But as you know, RC, 8 points, 8 points is great. Having an 8-point lead is, but one little hiccup, right? Like those 8 points can vanish like that.
I mean, look, perfect case in point, Hunter Lawrence. Dude, he was outside of that. Now he has a 5-point gap. So that was probably what, an 8-point swing this week. There you go.
And I feel like the reason why we use Daytona is like that topic all the time is by the time you get to Daytona and the points are kind of where they're at, a lot of those guys have lost their steam. The hope for that championship position, the points leader position, and then their hope is like, okay, we need a mistake from that rider, or we need to wait for something to kind of happen, because there's been a lot of races and a lot of gate drops up until that point. And everybody's kind of just, in my opinion, they take their set and they kind of know where their positions are, give or take 2 or 3 in either direction. Yeah. And I just think by then everybody's there's no more blood in the water until that mistake happens, and boom, obviously then it revives riders, the ones that are in it for the championship chase. Chad Reed was a huge one in that regard. He couldn't sniff nothing. And then all of a sudden, if there was a little drop in the water, Chad he could sniff it out, and he'd run you down. Right. And he'd give you hell till the end.
Dude, you give that freaking dude a crumb and he'll take the whole loaf straight up. He would, right? He's one of the best at it. It was so freaking frustrating. You're like, dude, seriously, you got one good lap or 5 good laps, and now you're like hell to pay the rest of the series. I got mad respect for the dude.
It was tough. It was tough to race somebody like that, because you're like, okay, I beat him 5, 6 times in a row, or throughout the season, and boom, one little thing, and it's like the fire was totally relit underneath of him, and that's hard to do. A lot of riders can't do what Chad did. Actually, nobody could do it as good as he did it.
That's right. One guy though that can. I'll go ahead and say it, and I want to hear what you had to say. I think that the performance that I saw from Coop this week, 3-time Supercross champ, last week's winner at Houston. Dude, this is one of his worst stadiums that he goes to. He came out of there on the box. He said in the podium, like, hell, he was happy with it. And I agree with him. I think he's locked in till the end of the season. I've seen all that I need to see, not only in Houston, but the week before when he crashed in Anaheim too. He was riding really well. I think he's locked in. I think he goes all the way down to Salt Lake for sure.
Yeah,
contending. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. Coop is just like Chad in that regard. Really good at biding his time and then smelling that blood in the water when there is. Like you said, Glendale, typically statistically one of his worst.
His average finish there, RV, is 6th, dude.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, not horrible, but definitely not a win. And he's put it on the box this last weekend. But yeah, he is going to be in the fight for the end. And as you know, the thing that I think Coop, if he can find just a smidge bit more speed, right? Because it's hard to make up the speed part of it. And especially the way Eli's been riding, Kenny, Hunter right now. But we are going to get back to tracks that are going to suit probably Coop maybe better than most.
Yeah.
We've talked about how tight he can turn the motorcycle underneath of ruts when the track gets super ruddy and jumps the triples get hard to get out of the turn because there's 6-8 ruts. He'll cut down and he'll find something underneath of the one that was underneath. So that we're gonna see what is gonna happen here, once we really start to head East Coast and get to that ruddy condition dirt.
Well, you talk about the ruddy conditions, dude, and I think let's talk about Seattle. I personally believe with how that track races, it's going to have some shorter lanes. I feel like it races pretty tight. And, you go back to some Coop has had, remember that, was it last year, a hell of a victory, or maybe the year before, I can't remember. But, dude, yeah, you're exactly right. He's getting into some areas, he's got to be frothing right now because he knows that. His competitors probably know that. I think I've seen all I need to see from him. They bet he's going to be good. He's going to bring it down.
Yeah, he is for sure.
Dude, I before we go pay some bills and close out this 450 chapter of the podcast this week, I don't know. I'm hearing some rumblings. You know where I'm going to go right now. I'm hearing some stuff. I don't like what I'm hearing. I don't know if it's true. Where you at with Sexton, dude? We have to talk about him, but where you at?
Yeah. I was thinking, I thought about this and was talking to some guys eventually with the speeds there, we've talked about it. The fitness is there. We've talked about that, eventually, you got to kind of start to think, okay, is this the best we get of Chase Sexton? Really, really fast. Fitness is there, wins races every season, multiple races every season, potentially. In the past he has, but just can't put it 100% all together. And I personally believe it's something to do mentally, it's upstairs. It's he's checked all the other boxes. I think the equipment's good. From this standpoint, maybe they are still working on some things with the motorcycle, just trying to get him more comfortable. But I will say, that's kind of par for the course, a few years at Honda, a few years at KTM. Now you're at Kawasaki. Bouncing around and moving around like that isn't definitely ideal. We just talked about Kenny being so solid on a motorcycle that he's rode for 3 years straight. Chase has bounced, like I said, from 3 different manufacturers. And, so I think I hope that's not the case. I hope it's not the case of him where it's mental and that's something that you can't break, right? He's got the speed, he's checked all the boxes there, the fitness, but it just comes down to showing up and being on every single night, but then not making those mistakes. And are those mistakes coming from pressure? Or are those mistakes coming from over trying too hard? I think that's the $1 million question is what is the problem, or what does he struggle with?
Well, let me ask you this. So if you think about, you talked about it, when he was at Honda, we would hear things, right? When he was at KTM, we would hear things. What are those things? He can't get the feel that he wants for the bike, or the bike is doing this and it's disabling him to where he can't get to ride the way he wants. and get the finishes that he wants. And now, dude, we're only 5 rounds in. And again, just from things that I'm hearing, and I'm sure you've heard a couple things. I heard particularly after this week, but then like it's the same thing. He even said it like why he rode so well when he won Anaheim. He finally got that feel that he was looking for, that he's been looking for. When I had swore that he thought that he had said something like that before the season started. It's just, dude, it's the same thing.
So maybe just you got to get him to a comfortable base. And I personally think, winning a race already and as fast as he can go on the motorcycle, I think that they're obviously in a pretty damn good spot. Let's call it. Maybe not a perfect
bike, dude. Is that bike good enough to win on any?
I think every bike on the line is good enough to win, number one. But maybe it's time where he just needs to ride that motorcycle and stay off the ground, and just, if it's a 5th tonight, it's a 5th tonight, and if it's a 3rd next weekend, it's a 3rd next weekend. Not worry about winning so much as just worrying about learning how to race the motorcycle, because it is a different motorcycle than he was on last year, and then KTM was different than the Honda, and just becoming comfortable with maybe being uncomfortable in some certain scenarios, in certain tracks or certain things. And I think looking at the longevity of the whole series itself as like, hey man, just be in it for the long haul. You don't have to win every race. Look at Hunter Lawrence right now. It doesn't even have a win, but he's gotten, consecutive podiums, and he's sitting with the red plate. So that's a win in itself right there. Yeah, sure. I know he wants to win, but maybe it's time for Chase just to be like, you know what? I'm going to be content and be okay with 3rd, 2nd, 5th here, and just get comfortable racing that motorcycle the way it is.
Yeah. But but he's better than 5th, and that's not any disrespect to anybody in front of him in the championship. But dude, like, I think we all can agree that when he's feeling comfortable, he has the best shot of anybody and can beat Jet on any given day when he's comfortable. But
let me ask you this, RC, but being comfortable though on a, say, Saturday, are you okay? So you're going to come across so many different conditions of dirts, so many different track layouts and ruddy condition, hard pack, blah, 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 blah. Is the comfortable, like, you're never going to take your motorcycle and just match that motorcycle and keep changing. Okay, now we're at Glendale, it's hard pack. And then we're at, Seattle, and it's going to be this. And then we're at this one, and it's going to be that. And you can't keep changing all of those things or the motorcycle per track condition. There's little things we can do, clickers here, clickers there, little adjustments to get you a little bit more comfortable. But ultimately, it comes down to the rider to figure out how to manage being uncomfortable, and and maybe tonight's not your night, and next weekend it will be. And I think from the outside looking in, maybe him personally is just trying to be like, man, I don't feel comfortable in it. We need to change the bike to make me comfortable. And
it's like this, dude. You talked about it. You had it. You experienced this at Cowie. Was it 13 or 14?
It was 11, 12, 13, 14. But
which year was it's like it beat the shit out of you in outdoors?
That was I think that was 11 into 12.
Into 12, and then remember, then you tried something at Unadilla, and it was freaking.
Got a new frame at Unadilla. Yeah.
Okay, here's what I think, dude. All right, and I experienced this in 2003. You have a certain motorcycle has a character to it, and whether it's stiff, whether it's too soft, whether the back end works well, whether the front end works well, whatever that character is, dude, unless they do a wholesale change with the frame, which you can't do that because you're under the production rule. So you have to race with the production frame. Can you massage it in a couple areas? Absolutely. Is it going to be 100%? Hell no. Very rarely have, I'm sure you ever raced a bike that was 100%. What I raced was 100%. So where I'm talking, what I'm saying is whatever the character of that bike is, at Cowie, whatever he's feeling, whatever everyone else feels, and Prado back when he was riding with it. That's what it is, dude. Now you can polish it up a little bit and maybe improve in those areas where it needs to work better. But at some point you're going to hit a dead end road. And again, until they make that change, like they did with you, like Honda did with me. And the change for me at Honda was I had to get on the four stroke, and mine was more engine related than chassis. So that's where I'm at with it. Like, dude, if you know it sucks on hard pack, then like what you're saying, RV, go out and bag your 4th place or your 3rd place. I think personally, by the eye test, I think Hunter's bike looked like shit the first 2 rounds. Like there was a couple, dude, he was all over the place, but he still did okay.
Yeah.
And that's my point with Chase. And I know like the Chase fans and especially the Chase fans, like you guys are going to hate on me, whatever. I want him to do well. I know he can do well, but we hold him in such high regard. He's better than what he got this week. I don't care how bad that motorcycle is. He is. He's better than what he showed. So that's what I think. You know where it's good, take advantage of it. You know where it needs to be better, and take your licks there and move on down the road. But you're better than what you're showing right now, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and taking that lick might have been a 3rd, right? Like being on the podium, or being right behind Coop 4th, fighting for that podium position.
Great guys. You've done it. A lot of the multi-time champions, they're able to take an ill-handling motorcycle and not let it ruin their day, ruin their season, and they're able to, like, they're not happy, but they still get the job done. And they still, your championships are won on your bad days. And maybe you can't win, but at least you're getting 3rd. And we know he's plenty capable of getting 3rd on a piece of shit. That's my handling. I'm not saying that Cowie's at, No,
regard is it. I think
those guys, dude, there's some good guys over there, RV. You know that, man.
Yes, I do. And they're all working hard. But maybe they're working too hard. Like I said in the beginning of this conversation, maybe it's time to just like pump the brakes on trying to find that perfect window. And now it comes down to Chase being like, okay, I'm just going to ride this thing and figure it out. It's going to take some time. He hasn't given himself more than 2 years on a manufacturer in the last 4. So, you're going to be chasing things and trying to figure things out. We are only round 5-ish. Seattle's round 6.
Yeah, 5. That was the 5th round this weekend.
Yep. So, like maybe that's what it is for this year. And maybe the goal is for this year is to take the championship out of your sights or your thought process. If you end up there, great. But maybe it's like, hey, we're gonna do the best we can. We're gonna get this thing figured out. We're gonna get consistent, and we're gonna ride this thing, and we're gonna end up 2nd or 3rd. And then we're gonna go into outdoors and see that also. We're gonna see where it exposes it there, and then for 27, we're gonna come out swinging. Yeah. Instead of just traveling down the rabbit hole and spinning yourself out.
I agree. Great advice from one of the best dudes in the business to ever do it. I agree with you. All right, dude. We gotta shift gears. We're already 48 minutes in to 450, giving us some meat to talk about. I feel like that's going to be the tail of the tape all season long. When we come back, we're going to talk about Haiden Deegan bagging his 4th win in a row. Obviously, this is his championship to lose, RV. But that's it. So when we come back, stay patient. It'll only be a couple minutes. All right. Okay, RV, here we go.
Yep.
All right, Hector. 3, 2. Welcome to Title 24. Welcome back. Man, a lot to unpack there for the 450s. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Some fun, some topics. We don't take a lot of pleasure in talking about it. We definitely have our opinions, but I'll put ours up against anybody in the paddock. Hey, if you guys are going to the races, and you don't have to be at the races, go and check out the 511 booth. It's pretty cool. So they're doing a raffle. They're giving away there you go, Triumph TF 450, the RC edition. If you're there, you can scan that QR code. If you're watching this video, you see what's happening. But go over to www.511tactical.com/Supercross, and you can enter to win a free motorcycle. Like I just showed you, the TF 450 RC edition. Really cool what 511 is doing, making a huge push into SMX, being super proactive. Their setup is awesome. Again, they make great like tactical gear and adventure gear. Go check them out. Go check their website out, and you can again enter to win via the website that I just gave you guys, 511tactical.com/Supercross. And if you're at the stadium, go by at the Fan Fest, go by their booth, check it out, and you just hit that QR code, and that'll take you right there to where you enter. But stoked on them. They're sponsoring the series at a certain level, and then of course they have partnered up with Triumph Factory Racing to be a sponsor at several of their events. So again, great company, an adventure lifestyle brand. All right, moving on. RV, my man Haiden Deegan putting on an absolute clinic. Kudos to Levi Kitchen. We'll get into that, but I mean, I don't even know what to ask you about Haiden.
He rode phenomenal. He put himself in a great position. He's won 4 in a row. There's not much to talk about. He had a perfect race for him, sitting in a great position points wise. I think he should, more than likely wrap up this championship, here pretty soon, just based on how he's been riding. It doesn't seem like he has any chinks in the armor at this point, especially for the 250 class. These are the things you want to see from a 250 rider like Haiden, when he is basically moving his way out to the 450 class. How consistent can he stay in a short series, in an 8-race series, before he moves to the 450 class? Because you go from 8 to 17, bigger bike, more power. We've talked about it, better racers. So he's checking all the boxes on what he needs to do and what we all need to see. That's showing us that he is ready to move up to the 450 class here very shortly.
Hey, RV, do you think what should be his chain of command right now, and his outlook as he is about to wrap up the 250 career? Is it championship or is it record books? Like, where do you think his mindset is right now in that order?
I mean, I think for me, if I was the one like helping him, I always looked at championship first. And if you put yourself in a championship position or winning that championship, the record book should follow par for the course, right? Because if you can't win a championship, typically you're not going to hit any records. Yeah. So winning that championship means you've won multiple races, which means you've been consistent, which means, you're getting the starts, you're putting all the pieces of the puzzle together very nicely and quickly. And that's what I'm seeing. So I think championship's number one, and then record books follow after that.
Do you think that he's one of the best 250 riders ever in history?
I think he's up with yourself, James, myself in the 250 class. Yep.
So he's in that combo. He's in
that combo of being one of the best 250 riders to do it. But for all the things I just said, race wins, championships, and consistency, at a young age. Not very often do we get an RC or an RV or a James that comes into the 250 class or 125 class in your days, and is able to succeed so quickly and do it fairly effortlessly and do it every single weekend, right? Well, there's a lot of guys out there that have won races, but then there's, maybe it's injuries, or maybe it's, just not having the consistency, or 1 year he's on and 1 year he's off. It's a very tough position to be in at that age, to show up every single weekend or every single year for that matter, knowing that you have that target on your back, and then keep producing. So that to me shows me that he is once again ready for the 450, but also going to move into that 450 class and be, maybe the word's not title contender right away, but he's going to be a top 3, race win guy within very shortly of his 450 career.
Yep, 100%. He tied me this weekend for 11 wins in the 250 SX class. So I'll be dusting the win on the history books.
Hey, I think he tied 4 straight too. I think I read somewhere where I have 4 straight 250 wins, and he's 4th now. So we'll see if Seattle makes it 5. And I think James would obviously James has that record. I would think his race wins, right? I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing, but yeah.
Hey, real quick, fan question. Dreezy 10. Can Deegan race 450 East? Yes, he can. And do you recommend it if possible? Everybody knows my stance on it. So what you've seen from him this year and what Dreezy 10 just asked, does your stance change?
After seeing him race, obviously the 450 and the preseason races, I think it would be a benefit. I do think it would be a benefit, to your point of like getting your lips wet inside of that arena in a real Supercross, meaning the of all the big dogs and the biggest, SMX, championship. So I think that's huge.
Yeah.
To get that. But also, I also lean on the side of like, hey, I guess he's going 450 outdoors, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, do you, when you throw yourself in that mix, I know there's no pressure involved with it from a championship standpoint or, like what the expectations are. But, there's always that. For me, I always like, okay, well, can be a risky move just from an injuries perspective. Do you want to come out to outdoors? Like, what if something happens? You tweak your arm, you tweak your elbow, your knee, or whatever, just to get one race in on the 450. I think he showed he can race it. He did those preseason races, which I think was huge for him. If it were my kid, I'm saying, hey, we're focusing on outdoors. That's me.
All right. There you go, Dreezy. Appreciate the questions. Again, we had a crap load of fan questions, and we went super long based on some of their questions, and we answered some for the 450. Yep. So we're going to be abbreviated. Hey, Hector, can you roll Mitch Payton's soundbite to segue us into Levi and Cameron's really good rides, especially Levi for that second place? Go for it, Hector.
Well, I think they should ride aggressive, and I think if you look at the pass last week Haiden did on Levi, it's just like what Levi did to him. And there was a lot of complaining about that, but you didn't see us go complain about it. So I think aggressive riding is important. I don't think we can be completely so hands off. I think it's always been, an aggressive sport, and that's important.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch just wants us to run it in on people, and I did my best. I made a lot of aggressive passes in that main event, and that's the only way I made it up there. I mean, you have to. There was not really places to pass. So Cameron was messing with me after the race because I ran in on him, but he didn't really know I was there. And he comes off. He's like, "You're the dirtiest rider ever." And he got me for a second. He was all serious. I felt so bad. And he's like, "I'm just messing with you too. I would have done the same thing."
I mean, you guys saw his pass on me. It was extremely aggressive as it needed to be to get around me, but respectful. That's how we race.
There you go.
I agree. I think that, I think there's a lot of comments and a lot of, people that keyboard warriors, let's call them, that get involved with, oh, that pass was dirty and this and that. And the case may be, look, the passes we just showed, if anybody's watching from a YouTube standpoint, the passes we just showed there were all very, very methodical and clean passes. And that's what Supercross is, right? Typically a lot of your passing is done, very rarely is the passing done in a full rhythm section or on the triple. It's either in the whoops or in the turns, right? And how do you pass somebody in the turns? You run them high, but you do it respectfully, like Cameron said. And if they end up running out of track room, then that's the, for me, that's like, hey man, you should have never put yourself, Cameron, you should have never put yourself in that position, knowing that like you're that far up, eventually you're going to run into the tough blocks. Eventually the track is going to end up where you're on the concrete. I like what Mitch said. Like, I think that, aggressive riding and a methodical passes and respectful aggressiveness is all part of Supercross. And I think that we've seen Hayden's pulled some stuff. Levi did the pass, on Haiden and things like that. But you can't totally take all of that out of it. Sometimes shit's going to happen. And that's what I kind of chalk that up to be.
Yeah. Great ride for Cameron.
Yep.
I love, he looks like he's a little more in control and he's not overriding the motorcycle. I feel like in years past, and then the injuries, like sometimes he gets a little ahead of himself, and it's not from the lack of trying. He's just trying really, really hard. That's what I really respect about him. But I like what I've seen so far. I think he's in a great place. What we saw from Levi RV is rides that I think that he needs to be putting in every week. It's those style of rides, and I know you expect this from him, and I do as well. Like those need to be every single weekend. They do. Cameron has been riding well, like you said. Yeah.
I think the kind of the story of the night is the come through ride that Levi had, and what I see and what I want to see is obviously, like you said, those rides every single weekend. Haiden out front, Levi knowing that Haiden isn't in the race at this point for him. His job was to come through the pack and get up to the best position he could, and he was able to get to second. I think that's the lack on Levi's side right now is, once again, between his ears. It's not the speed. He's got the speed. It's not the technical side. Levi's one of the most technical riders out there when it comes to riding Supercross and outdoors. But it's showing up every weekend, and it's tough to race against a guy like Haiden that is so mentally strong and that nothing affects him. And I think certain things do affect Levi, and I think that that's where he needs to try to improve. You talk about racing someone. You just brought something up that's really has a lot of validity to it, and looking big picture is like, yeah, we expect these things from Levi and other riders, even if it's in the 250 class or 450 class. But since we're talking about 250, we'll talk about Levi. And dude, he's racing perhaps a guy that's going to be one of the best ever to race in the 250 class. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that for everyone tuned in here. I wouldn't say that RV and I are being hard. I think we know what Levi is capable of, and we want to see him perform to that level every weekend. But as we say that, like RV just explained perfectly, like, dude, he is racing against a dude who is one of the best. And, obviously he can't control that. It's just, it is what it is, and timing of sport and who happens to be in your class. So there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that, RV. Well, no, for sure. And like I said, I when we started this topic of Haiden, there's only a handful of them that come out like Haiden has, myself, you, James. Yeah. Those are the white whales that come out every so often, right? So
shitty timing for the competition.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do think that some of Levi's mistakes come from him having to race Haiden. I do believe that.
That's fair. I agree. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Said like who you're racing. I think, pressure gets there, and then, you react a certain way based upon who you're racing. So you might not be getting you might not be riding to your true potential because of your competitor that you're facing. Let's change. Let's move on.
Yep.
All right. Dunlop debate. I think we're going to be seeing the scoop tire show its face this weekend, dog.
Potentially. Potentially. I think knowing Seattle in the past, obviously it's showing 50% rain, like I had said early in the show, but just in general, the dirt that they bring in the stadium is much softer. It breaks down much quicker. So, and then if we do have some moisture, I think that scoop tire will be ran more this weekend, or first time we'll see it. Oh, I ran it again this weekend, even at Glen Hill.
All right. Whole shots.
We did get some hole shots.
Yeah, you got that thing cheated up or what?
Not yet.
I'm kidding, dude. All right. Quick question. Zane Humble 16. Do you like the 15-20 minute format, or would you rather go back to the 15-20 lap format? We may have talked about this a time or two. Where are you at? Yeah. Would you rather do timed, or would you rather do laps?
I think that it's normal now. So like, I think it was a change. Humans don't like change, when at first, we're going off minutes now. And it was new. And, I'm like, man, there's more laps on the track. We've, debated this back and forth. Now it's normal. It's par for the course of like what Supercross does. And number one, they made that change for TV purposes so that they could stay inside that window. So, I think that, thanks for the question, but I think that one's been answered, and I think it is what it is.
I'm a lap guy, so whether it's 15 laps, 20 laps, or whether it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes, as you know, we all know exactly how many laps are going to go based on the time. They can do the lap time, and they let you know, hey, tonight's going to be 27 laps. I say the mechanics and stuff. They have it. They can get you the delta in there within like one lap. So I think
RC though, like from that standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, like, okay, now we no longer have 20. Now it might be a 26 lap main event.
Yeah.
It comes into a little more of the strategy side of it. Okay, yes, we come out hot out of the gate. We put our sprint laps in, but you now have, maybe there's the mid race, depending on what the race looks like itself, the battle itself that you're in. Can you sustain it? Can you not? Do I need to hold up a little here? Do I need to leave a little extra in the tank for the extra laps? Call it that, instead of a 20, it's 25, 27, or whatever it is. So I think on that regard, it makes guys, have to watch. I thought I saw that this weekend a little bit, just the track being bigger, the rhythm sections guys were able to relax a little bit on the track in certain areas because the rhythm sections were so long compared to just an all-out sprint for 20 laps or 15 laps.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little more strategy potentially involved.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do the call from Cardo, and then, of course, the quad lock question of the week. So hang tight. We'll see you in a few. All right, I'm ready when you are, RV, in 3, 2. Welcome back to Title 24, RV and RC here. Final segment of the day. Call from Cardo segment coming at you. And this is a good question. Call from Cardo. Alex McLean. Is there a rule that you would change? And what's a rule that isn't enforced that you would add?
Wow.
I'm a bad rule book. You got to think about a rule book here.
Exactly. I mean, look, I think I'm not very versed on the rule book. Number one, number two.
I'd change the age limit rule. That's the one I would change. That needs to be refined.
And explain a little on that. What do you?
Well, like for the riders coming in, what's that age limit? Or no, pardon me. Not coming in, the points. Sorry, the points. The points is the one.
Pointing out of the 250 class.
Yeah, clarification on that. Sorry about that.
Clarify exactly what it is currently.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think it's, what is it? 3 years consecutive, 100 points consecutive.
Okay, so it's still 3 years, 100 points, and then you get booted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Either way, I think it could be refined. We've talked about this a little bit on the show a couple years ago. It might even been our first season with Title 24, but I think it can be refined, RV. I don't have the right answer for it. I have some ideas. Like a great idea would be, is there an age limit? But if you put an age limit on there, like, hey, anything over 32, you're out of there. But what if you start late? What if you don't turn pro until you're 26? You might have that situation at certain times. I'm thinking like race wins or maybe race podiums. Maybe like, hey, if you have X amount of podiums, X amount of top fives for certain years, or like say you've had 10 top fives or 10 top tens in your 10 years into your 250 class. Maybe like you're out of there.
Yeah. And I think the hard part, RC, is right. Like we only have so many seats available from the 450 class to the 250 class. And, if there is some type of whatever, booting them out maybe, and there's no 450 ride, but he's a great placeholder for the 250 class, and the guy's without a job. Maybe you can't get a 450 ride. We only have so many horses in the stable. So that's, and some years we have more and some years we don't. Right. So I think that's the hard part, is the years we don't have enough seats available and we have, say, too many riders, right? They need to go somewhere, and you might take a guy that RJ Hampshire, for us, use him for an example, like factory Husky rider, for in the 250 class. Well, if they would have booted him out based on age, and he wasn't ready for the 450, where's he go and what's he do? If there was no seat, right? So I think it's tough, because some years you have more seats available than riders, and some years you have more riders available than seats, and that's always going to be a moving target.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's just like, I don't have the answer. I don't really agree with the current one, and that's okay. We're always not going to agree on everything. And again, I just gave a suggestion that I had. I don't think that's 100% the right way, but I think that you could consider some of the topics, even like you just said, and I just said, it's just tough. I don't know. I think that and with you, it's a moving target. We might go one way and be like, oh shit, this isn't the right way. And I think that it's okay to change a rule if you're trying to make it better, right? You could be more open to that. As far as one being enforced, maybe like what was it? What's a rule that isn't enforced that you would add?
Okay, let's just go to rules. Let's not talk about changing rules, RC. Let's talk about like adding something, and it's not necessarily a rule, but like,
what would you add? I don't know.
We're on the Cardo comms right now, right? Like I think that, like, let's talk about adding something to the program versus changing what currently, maybe works or maybe could be refined. Like I think having comms involved in our racing, and it needs to start somewhere. Maybe it's not two-way back and forth. Maybe it's just where race director can one way. Yeah. And maybe it's just where it's one way, and race director of AMA can call on, hey, we got a red cross, or hey, we have a red flag, for that matter, and start there. Right. And then see where it goes. I think there's so many cool things you can do with it, especially during the day of race day live. We've talked about it before, what little changes down behind the pit area that the guys are coming in, and the information that's being relayed to the mechanics or suspension or whatever. I think that's an asset to have.
100%. Do you feel like, I feel like this is where the league would step in, and I think that they do want it, just making sure that everyone can have it. I think it's simple. You do a one-way communication, you and your spotter, someone that is trusted, and the spotter, meaning whether it's your mechanic or just like they have in NASCAR, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's your bus driver, whoever it might be. Again, like that's why I said mechanic, he could talk to you. One-way communication from that person to the rider, and then you have to have the race director being able to get in there as well, which would only be one way there. Them going to all the riders' comms and saying, hey, red flag, red flag on the track, everyone, go idle speed. Absolutely. I think there's that. But going back to what I said about the league, they're going to want to make it to where everyone has one.
And I agree. You can't do it with just factories, and privateers can't, and blah, 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 blah. Right. So it needs to get to a position where everybody can either afford it, if it's affordability rate of it, or, whatever the case may be. But I think that would be cool. But everybody has to have it that is down on the floor or on the line or in that night show at that current moment.
That's right. There you go. Good question. Really good one. Alex, appreciate it. Appreciate the support as well. Hey, RV, before we get to the quad lock question, dude, we got a birthday for someone today.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, Wonka 870.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, man. Thanks for throwing that in there. We got you on the show here, but not sure how
Will
old.
Harrison. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, Will, right?
That's right. Oh yeah, Will Harrison. Yeah, Wonka 870. Yeah, Will Harrison. Not sure how old you are, but have a great birthday.
That's right. Maybe we'll celebrate for you.
Yeah.
Celebrate for you. I'm always celebrating people's birthdays. All right. Happy birthday. Next up, quad lock question of the week, RV. As you know, we've been doing it every year here on Title 24. Quad lock. If you haven't, go over to quadlockcase.com, check out what they got. But the winner of this week's quad lock question of the week is Colton Dunhoff, 12. And Colton asks, Triple Crown outdoor race? Question mark. Tons of talk last week, but 3 shorter motos for a national. Dude, great question, Colton. Would you like the Triple Crown format for a nat, dude?
I think that could be interesting. I think that definitely could be interesting. I think it could be fun. You know, what's the value and how does it change for pro motocross? And what track and where do you do it at, right? Like, I think that's the big, that'd be the big thing. I'm not against it, I guess. I guess I've never thought about having a Triple Crown for motocross. Obviously, shortening the motos. We're 30+2 right now. So what does that look like? Is that
I'm thinking like 8 minutes. I'm thinking like 8 minutes and 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes for the 250 because, you know, time.
Yeah.
And how long? Maybe do like, I don't know. What do you do? Like
what is it? It's
4 or 5 lap sprint, dude.
Yeah, you could do that, but I think right, because 30+2, roughly call it 34 to 35 minutes, depending on your lap time. So that's an hour chunk right there. So if you did 320s, you got an hour there, right? In an actual.
What if you did 215s?
215s. Your 315s, yeah. Yeah.
Not 315s. I was thinking like 215s per class. I don't know if you want to go.
Well, it wouldn't be Triple Crown then.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right.
We need 3 gate drops. We need 3 gate drops in that regard. So, I don't know, man.
It would be cool, but yeah, what would be
that baby to Feld's email. Email.
That's right. Blow them up. Hit them in their Instagrams too. Do that. Dude, that's a good question, Colton. We got us tongue tied here. We don't. I mean, you have to take some time and figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure whatever we come up with would be entertaining. That's for sure.
You know, I think when I think of a Triple Crown like that, it'd be interesting to, like, you haven't probably been to Paris Raceway in a long time, right? But you've been there in the past. You know, you see it's a smaller, it's not Supercross, obviously, but there's a lot more jumps on the track.
Like Star West used to be, right?
Exactly. Could you imagine having, like, you know, a Triple Crown style at a smaller facility like that the lap times are only like 1:30 or 1:20, and you're getting 3 gate drops, and if they're 15 or 20 minute sessions,
almost like a track like the playoffs, like
yep.
All right, well, Colton, congratulations. I know our co-producer said that you hit him back already. I'm sure Quadlock will get you dialed when you get your swag. Dude, any feedback that you can give, they would be greatly appreciative of that. Tell them how stoked you are. I have no doubt that you will be stoked on their product. It's best in the business from anything phone related. All right, RV, that's it. Hey, real quick question, little bonus question. Sorry, thanks for hanging in with us. I know it's we got long here today, but I just got to ask you from Stephen Little. Do you think Tyler would beat you in a race now that you're retired? Tyler, your brother, obviously. I'm sure that's who Stefan that's who Stefan is talking about. And then twofold question. Are there similarities in relationship between Gage and Brax that you compare yourself with Tyler? Could you beat Tyler right now straight up?
I think it would be a close race. We actually raced a race, just like a local one up home. This must have been now maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we raced pretty close together. He ended up beating me, in the race. I was eating roost. I was all over him.
Did you get arm pump?
I don't, probably, but as not to take anything away from him, but just looking at it from the 10,000 foot view, I didn't want him. I knew he was on the ragged edge, and I didn't want to push him any harder than he was already going, because that was one of his downfalls when he raced, was crashing a lot and big ones. But Tyler can still rip a motorcycle. And as for my twin boys, similarities between me and him, and there is. Gage is very much like me, and Brax is very much like his mom. But when it comes to my brother, Brax is more like my brother. When it comes to the motorcycle, side of things, likes riding, but it's not like his end all be all. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily how I was as a little kid, but I rode way more, wanted to ride more than Tyler. Gage wants to ride way more. He thinks he's going to be, the next superstar. And I'm like, dude, it's a long road. Where Brax is like, maybe I don't want to ride today. Or, he's like, I'm not comfortable with that jump, and I'm not going to do it. Right. So there is similarities. It's been a lot of fun so far, and I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of more things that I'm going to have to navigate through this, process as it presents itself.
Sweet. Good question, Stefan. Appreciate that. Great. That was great. I enjoyed listening to that. I have no doubt that our listeners and viewers are going to like that. Good stuff, RV. All right. That's it. Hey, Hector, throw up the graphics for what's on Motorsports NBC YouTube page, or YouTube. Sorry. Motorsports on NBC. Sorry about that. There you go. Race day live, 1 p.m. Eastern on Peacock from Seattle. And then the gate drop is going to be 7 p.m. 4 o'clock local, but 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the SMX Insider post-race show every weekend presented by Bass Pro. That follows right after the main event. So it'll be 10:01 Eastern, assuming we don't go long. Bondo, our producer, some slack. The SMX Video Pass is always available outside the United States. It's alongside of the United States. So make sure you check that out. Log on to supermotocross.com for tickets and information. It's going to be a good one this weekend, I hope. Quick fact: because the Seahawks won Super Bowl, dude, the track crew, Dirtworks, and those guys, they can't start building until Wednesday afternoon, laying plywood down.
Really?
So, yeah. I don't know. Obviously, there's going to be a celebration there. At the stadium. So we're going to have to hope for not a lot of weather. Hopefully, the weather doesn't change, at least for the build-in and load-in situation. They're going to be against it. It's going to be challenging. They'll do it, but they're going to have to hustle. Hopefully the track won't be compromised. I doubt it will, but nevertheless, they got their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they do. If they don't start till Wednesday, they're going to have to bring, plywood it, and then bring dirt in and cover it as soon as possible. Build, cover. I don't
even think they're going to have time to get it covered, dude.
Yeah, and maybe not, but it's showing currently that rain doesn't blow in till Saturday. It is showing clear up until Saturday. So maybe SMX Track Crew will get lucky on that regard, but regardless, they'll be working through the night to get that sucker built.
All right, boys and girls, we appreciate it. That was a lot of fun today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Remember, you can check us out at Motorsports and NBC's YouTube page. We're there, as well as all the applications for apps, as you guys know. So whether you want to listen to it. Pumped again to have Guts Racing on as a new partner. We appreciate it, Andy, for your support. That's awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun with that. So go check them out. And of course, Quadlock, Boxo, Dunlop, and Cardo. We appreciate you guys. And we will see you guys next week.
That's right.
You.